Hi everyone, my name's Ross Fairgrieve from rossfairgrieve.com. I'm a photographer and videographer. I've had a lot of requests recently from people, a lot of emails from people with GoPro cameras saying that they really like the cameras, but they're finding that when they get their footage onto their computer, it's jerky, it's not playing back smoothly, they're getting kind of jumps from frame to frame. The reason for this isn't, there's nothing wrong with the camera, it's not broken or anything, it's just basically that the computer's struggling with the kind of file format that the GoPro feeds the footage in its kind of native form, if you like. There's a way around this, and there's a way to make it play nice and smoothly on more or less any computer, or any kind of half-decent computer, and I'm going to go through that today and explain what it is. Basically what it comes down to is the codec that the GoPro uses. The codec stands for compression decompression, and basically what it means is that if the camera just recorded raw footage, the files would be enormous and your memory card would disappear in about 20 seconds. So instead it's compressed, this footage, and there's then a method, the codec, of decompressing this footage to playback and then recompressing it to fit it back onto the media, onto the card. GoPro uses quite an aggressive codec, and what this means is that the footage is very small on the card. It means your memory card lasts for ages, which is great, but it also means that the computer then really struggles to play it back smoothly because it's got to do an awful lot of work. You can I've explained it to a few people before, as if you imagine it, if you're working in quality control for a sleeping bag company, now bear with me here, if you say you're standing at a conveyor belt and sleeping bags are coming past and you've got to check them for, I don't know, bits of dead rat and tears or whatever, if they were in tiny little bags, those ones that are a pain in the arse to try and squeeze everything into, you'd have to pull it out, check for rips and everything, and then stuff it back into that bag. By the time you've done all that, the next one's come along and you start missing bags and panicking, and it all kind of goes wrong. If that bag was much bigger and the stuff bag, you could just pull it out, whack it straight back in with no trouble, then you wouldn't have any problem. And as those extra bags came along, you would have already got the last one in, no trouble, no worries trying to crush it back into the bag, all is well in the world. And that's kind of the difference between codecs. The GoPro uses that tiny stuff bag that's pretty hard to get the bag out of and into. So what we're going to do is basically convert our footage to a codec that's more easily manageable. If you like a bigger stuff bag, so sure, it does mean that the footage is going to be larger. It's going to take up more space on your computer, but it also means that your computer's going to have no trouble playing it because it's the equivalent of just whipping that sleeping bag out, whipping it back in, no trouble. So that's what we're going to do. So I'll get onto the tutorial now. Okay, so this is how we're going to convert from that highly compressed GoPro native format to something that's a bit easier on your computer, a little bit easier to edit, and will play back much more smoothly without the jerky frames. So first things first is we've got to get the footage off of your memory card and onto your computer. Some people will try and play it straight from the memory card, and this is sometimes why it is jerky. It's kind of a bottleneck, trying to kind of pipe the footage straight from the SD card to play it. So I'd always take the footage off of the card first and load it onto your computer's hard drive. You should find that helps a little bit, but that's only the first step anyway. So let's go into our memory card over here, find a piece of footage. So we got So let's go into the memory card, find the piece of footage that you want. So we'll take this one. Okay, so I'm just going to drop this onto my desktop, obviously put it wherever you want to do. Okay, so now we can close down the memory card, we're done with that. And we've got our piece of footage sitting over here onto our computer's hard drive, and it's all good. Okay, so now we need to figure out how we're going to convert it to make this a bit more computer friendly and how we're going to make it play back more smoothly. To do this, we're going to use a piece of software called MPEG Streamclip, which lives down here, MPEG Streamclip. This is a free piece of software, it's free to download, but I'd really encourage you to, if you can afford it, just donate a little bit of money to the developers. It's a cracking program, and the more you get into video, the more you'll find you use it for various different things. You can use it for time-lapse from photos, I use it for quite a lot, all sorts of stuff anyway. So yeah, I mean, if you can, do give them a little bit of money. To find this program, just type in MPEG Streamclip into Google, and yes, the first one that comes up here, squared 5, MPEG Streamclip. So you've got it for Mac here and for Windows here. So we'll just go to the website and yeah, oops. And so we can download whichever version you want. I'm on a Mac, so obviously I'm using the Mac version. Once you've downloaded it, we'll open up this program and we'll see what it looks like. So this is MPEG Streamclip, and we want to be using their batch converter. And so what we do here is go to the list and go batch list. So what this actually allows you to do, if we had loads of pieces of footage, we'd be able to convert them all at the same time. In this case we don't, in this case we've just got one, but we'll still use the batch converter just to show you how to do it. So you open up the batch list, hit add files, and then find the file you want. So ours was on our desktop, and it was called GoPro whatever. So then hit to batch down here, and that'll load it into this batch. Okay, so now if we go here, please choose a task. You've got all these different ways of exporting and saving and all this sort of stuff. So we're just going to stick with export to QuickTime. It should be the default option. If it's not, just select it from this list and go OK. Now select the destination folder. This is asking you where you actually want to save this piece of footage, the processed piece of footage. So we'll just go new folder and just say uncompressed or something like that. Go create. So that'll create a new folder. Then we can just select that as where we're going to save it. So here's our folder called uncompressed. Right, so this is the actual kind of nuts and bolts of MPEG Streamclip, of the program. And this is where we're going to select the settings that we want to use to form our new file. So I guess the most important bit in a way is this, the compression. So at the moment we know we're using this really kind of hardcore codec, this GoPro codec that compresses it really, really strongly, which is great for fitting loads of stuff onto a card, but not great for actually working the footage. So we're going to change this. You've got all sorts of codecs here. The ones that we're interested in for these purposes are the Apple Prores codecs. There's really kind of three that we can consider, if you like. There's ProRes 422 HQ, which I've always assumed stood for high quality. This is the highest ProRes 422 codec. So in theory, the best quality, but the file sizes are pretty massive. Then there's normal Apple ProRes 422. This is the one I normally use. And then there's ProRes 422 LT. I've always thought of it as light. Don't know what it actually stands for. Low something? I don't know. So that's smaller file sizes. In theory, the quality's not quite as good. To be honest, that probably is plenty good enough for GoPro footage. I mean, the files that we're going to get out of any of these are going to be hugely less compressed than the actual footage we had in the first place. I, anyway, just go for Apple ProRes 422. It's just the ordinary ProRes. So next we've got the quality. For this, we don't want to lose any quality from our original, so slide it all the way up to quality 100%. The sound settings you can just leave at their defaults, which should be uncompressed, stereo, auto. Frame size, let's get rid of that. Hang on, I'm just going to plug myself in. Right, that's better. Okay, frame size, you've got all these different frame sizes. This unscaled one is normally the one to go for. What this will do is it will basically just keep it whatever you've fed it. In this case, we've given it a 1920 by 1080 file, so we'll go with that. If we filmed in one of the 720p modes, this would say 1280 by 720. But again, just stick with the unscaled one. Frame rate, you want to just leave blank. That'll just leave it in the frame rate that it's currently in. Here it gives you a clue. Deselect for progressive movies. Ours are progressive. We've got 1080p, 720p. It's not 1080i or whatever. So we can get rid of this interlaced scaling thing. Field dominance. Again, it gives you a clue. Use upper field first for all codecs except DV. We're using the Apple ProRes codec, so we'll stick with upper field first. Other options lower, but we'll go upper. We don't want to rotate it or zoom it or crop it or anything like that, so we can leave all of those blank. When you're done, when you've put all those settings in place, you can save that as a preset. So go to presets down here and save. I've actually already saved this, you can see here, but save it. And then next time you do it, you don't have to fiddle with all these settings. You just go straight to your choice here. I've called mine standard ProRes 422, and then you'd hit load normally. In this case, we've already changed it, so I'll just hit cancel. Okay, so all our settings are done. Then we go to batch, and that will plop that file into the batch list. Once we're ready for it to process, just hit go, and it will. It works pretty fast. I think that clip was only about 10 seconds, so it's not very long. But MPEG Streamclip is a really quick program, so it'll actually process it pretty quickly. There are some other options to do this. I use this because it's free and it's quick and it's bloody good. So yeah, I'd stick with that. Right, so it's pretty much done now. Once that's finished and it says completed here, you can close down MPEG Streamclip. Again, if we had loaded loads of files into there, we would have hit go, and they just all run one after the other. And so you don't have to keep going back and back. You just press it once and leave it to do its thing. Okay, so now we've got our original piece of footage down here. And in our new folder called uncompressed, we've got a new piece of footage. Now I can't actually show you if it's smoother or not, because I'm doing a screencasting thing anyway, so everything's going to look jerky. So you just have to believe me and give this a go and see if it works. So if you are struggling with your original file down here is jerky, then give this a try, and you should find that this one's much, much smoother. You'll also find when you come to edit it, if you come to edit it and you load it into, you know, something like Final Cut or Adobe Premiere or whatever, that it's way, way easier to edit. You shouldn't be having to render every single thing you do and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, much, much better editing codec than the initial GoPro codec. So there is one downside to this. You will get much smoother footage, it will look much better, be way easier to edit and all that, but if we just do a quick get info on this, we'll see that the original file was 18.7 megabytes up here. If we do the same thing for our new ProRes file, because it's uncompressed, it is 174 megabytes. So you are going to need a lot of hard drive space. Luckily hard drives are fairly cheap now, but it is going to take up a lot more space. But obviously it does have massive benefits for actually being able to watch it properly and play it back smoothly. So that's pretty much it. That's us done. So if you've got any questions, drop me an email, info@rossfairgrieve.com, or drop a comment down at the bottom of this page. All right, thanks very much.